Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Bahasham, Rakha, Watash. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, the creator of heaven and earth, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, the God which the scriptures speak of. And Yahweh is only begotten Son, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And the Rakha, Watash, which is the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone who rule well, pushing his 100% truth of the gospel, waking up and sealing the elect of the nation of Israel through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh. And salutations to you, sincere Archimedes, that are pushing this gospel in righteousness and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. Alright, so I was looking up the etym for tests and trial online, because the scriptures talk about how we are in that time, we are in those times where where we will be tried and tested as believers in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So I started to look up the etymology for the word test, and this is what I found. So this is the word, the etym for the word test. A small vessel used in assaying precious metals, and from the old Latin testum and etym ports, it's I'm looking for the one I'm looking at. Here it is. Ascertaining the connecting notion is ascertaining the quality of a metal by melting it in a pot. And also to go into the word try. And this is the etym for the word try, but the definition I'm looking for is, where is it? Oh, here it is. The ground let me start from the beginning. From Gallo-Roman triare of unknown origin. I don't know if I said that right, but anyway, the ground sense is separate out the good by examination, sense of subject to some strain. Alright, so this should bring up more understanding as to why the scriptures compare the elect man to precious metals, because these words test and try, they were originally used in checking the quality or the checking the quality of precious metals. And let me go and that actually reminds me of a precept, so let me just quickly get that. Ecclesiasticus, okay. So the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2, and I'll start from verse 4. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Alright, so so that trying is that trying is putting a metal putting the metal inside a clay vessel or a clay pot, and melting it and melting it down all the way to liquid to check whether the metal is actually pure or if it has impurities. That is what it means to test it. And then to try it would be to separate the impurities from the actual metal. And we are in those trying times right now, the times of judgment. And it's written in the book of First Peter that it says that judgment will begin at the house of the Most High. And it continues on with saying that if it begins at the house of the Most High, what shall be the end to other nations? But what we're focusing on is the fact that the scripture says that judgment will begin in the house of the Most High. That's why the time of trouble that we're coming into right now is called Jacob's trouble. Right, showing you once again that the Most High isn't dealing with these other nations. Because why is it called Jacob's trouble? Why isn't it called the world's trouble, or the nation's trouble, or the trouble of all the other people on the earth? Why is only Jacob being considered? These are the things that you should be wondering about. That's why the Most High set it up like that. Alright, so so just going on. So the Most High will send adversity as a sifter to try to, and from the etym, that word means to sieve out impurities, meaning the word to try from the metals. From the metals. So in other words, the two-thirds being the impurities, they'll be sifted out from the metal. That's why the scriptures talk about sifting out the house of Israel, and that's in the book of Amos chapter 9 verse 9. So that you have to go to that. Alright, Amos 9 verse 9, and it reads, For lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Right, and that least grain being the elect, right? But all the other heathen, all the nations, all the heathens that are scattered among our people, that look like Israelites but are not, and all the 2/3 will be thrown out, right? Because our precepts are going to that. But anyway, and let me just keep going on. And we already know how how Bashmi Yawashai is going to do all that with Jacob's trouble, the events from now leading all the way to the mark of the beast being the final temptation. And we also already know that there is no need to worry about it. Going back to Zechariah 13 verse 8, where it talks about how in all the lands 2 parts shall be cut off and die, but 1 part shall be saved, and he will bring that 1 part through the fire, and they will say, he is my God, and he will say, so let me go to that. I've forgotten. I can't paraphrase it. I don't want to butcher it. So let me just quickly go to it and bring it out. Right, so this book of Zechariah chapter 13 verse 8, and it reads, And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. Alright, it's going into the Most High bringing us through the fire. Alright, no, we're not going to be doing it of our own power. We're not going to overcome all the calamity and all the evil that got to brought upon the earth just by our own power. It's going to be the Most High using the Most High, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's going to be through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Let me just say it like that, because that is who will bring us through the fire. Just like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, during the time of the Babylonian captivity, will be brought through the fire, refined and made precious by Yahweh Shai. And those that don't pass the proving, they get bundled up and destroyed, eating missiles. And going into the parable of the wheat and the tears. I don't really know the exact precept that is in. As going into that same Zechariah 13 verse 9 verse 8. That's what it means when they talk about being cut off and die. Alright, they will be removed and be thrown into the lake of fire, while the elect will be brought through that fire. And this actually got me thinking. You got a lot of camps that aren't preparing their followers for the hell that they're about to break loose. No warnings or nothing, just constant sensationalism. Right, meaning that they're just giving the fans what I'm looking for. Fans, they're just giving their, I said fans, they are giving their followers, fan service. Alright, just telling them exactly what they want to hear. Doing all these little shows and the like, all this hypocritical stuff, but not actually bringing out any edification, not warning them about the times that are coming. Because I'm yet to see a video of all these other camps talking about Jacob's trouble, talking about the peril for this election time, right? Talking about all the things that could possibly happen, and you still have a lot of camps teaching that doctrine, and that there will not be a Jacob's trouble, alright? That you should take the chip or the vaccine if you have to, alright? Talking about things that should never be spoken from a Hebrew Israelite camp, but moving on. That's like, I don't mean moving on because I'm still going to, because this is something that has to be brought out. Alright, but the Apostle Taha, he always talks about this. He always brings this up, that when the hour of temptation comes through, of course, but even before that, because going back to Ezekiel chapter 3, where it talks about, then shall it be known who are my chosen. Speaking of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, talking about who his elect men are, or who his prophets are. And it's because, and this is me speaking as a man, alright, because I won't say that I had a dream, but something more like a vision, something that just hit me out of nowhere, and I believe that was the spirit. But that there will come a time where GMS, because the like-minded, sincere action that all these other, that are doing their own thing, but still pushing the same One West doctrine and the doctrine of the apostles of Great Millstone, they will be absorbed into GMS and the camps, and they will be the only men out here left pushing the word, and the only people out here that are left in the whole Hebrew, the people that are left as the only Hebrew Israelite camp. And even the most thick-skulled Jay could be able to understand that Right, GMS has the 100% truth, and we had it all along. Because I see, and this is once again me speaking as a man, I see all these other camps. I see these other camps that aren't teaching the correct doctrine, that aren't that aren't what's what I'm looking for, that aren't pushing this word, in season and out of season, as the scripture says. They're going to get their. I see them. They're going to get I think they're going to get their sack. Yeah, they're going to go the way of the GOCC, and I can't exactly remember his the what was I'm looking for. I can't remember their leader's name, but let me just get these presets. I was a little scatterbrained there, sack. Yeah, but I see all these other camps. I see them going the way of GOCC. I can't remember their leader's name, but basically, the flock being scattered and the leaders. Right? Let me just read it. Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 14. Then Yahweh said unto me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. I send them not, neither have I commanded them, neither speak unto them. They prophesy unto you a false vision and divination and a thing of naught and the deceit of their hearts. Therefore thus saith Yahweh concerning the prophets that prophesy in my name, and I send them not. Yet they say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine shall these prophets be consumed. And the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and they shall have none to bury them, their wives, nor their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness upon them. Right, and I don't feel comfortable getting on men that have been in this truth longer than me. But I feel more uncomfortable not bringing out this word. And if you're that camps, don't repent, alright? Like I said before, you go the way of GOCC, your leader being dead and you being scattered everywhere, because we already brought this out when that actually happened. Tazadakia, I finally remembered his name. That must be the spirit right there, because then I was because I've been thinking about his name for a while now. I even went online to look for it, but I couldn't find it. Tazadakia, the God sent comforter that was killed by the COVID, alright, the plague that was sent by Yahweh Yahweh. And this is all for the sake of going. Let me just say a few more things about that. Going into the judgment that he received, because there will be judgment for leading the flock, astray, for alright, for not teaching the full, the whole doctrine, for not what I want to use. I'm thinking of the precept. I'm thinking of the parable of the talents. For burying your talent in the ground. All right, but leaving that, putting that aside. This is all for the sake of the kingdom, because as there's a saying in the world that goes, nothing ventured, nothing gained. All right, so so let me just go to my next precept, the book of Acts chapter 14, verse 22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. Wait, I think I want to start from the top. Okay. Acts 14 verse 20. Howbeit, as the disciples stood round about him, he rose up and came into the city, and the next day he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the gospel to the city, and had taught many, they returned again to Lystra, and to Iconium, and to Antioch, confirming the souls of the disciples, and exhorting them to continue in the faith, and that he must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of the Most High. And that is what we are trying to do now. We have to have that perfect balance. On one hand, they tell you about all the evil and the death and the destruction and the famine and the plague and all the life that is coming upon the earth. But on the other hand, so as not to get the flock too scared or riled up, we also have to bring out the fact that we will be, that this is all for the sake of the kingdom, right? This is all happening because, as the scripture says, through much tribulation we will enter the kingdom of the Most High. All right, because the Most High isn't looking for dross, as there's a preferable. So I have to go to that. that as every man will be tried to see what kind of material they are. You have the wood, you have the fire. It's like you have the wood, you have the normal iron, you have the silver, and you have the gold. So the Most High isn't looking for wood in his kingdom. Looking for something that will just get burned up easily. He's not trying to gather elect that men that have, all right, the what I'm looking for. have the mindset of wood. You try to find people that have that gold. You try to find people that have that spirit of gold, that golden spirit, that precious spirit that would be able to endure all these things that are about to be brought upon the earth. And speaking of endurance, that also brings me to the next precept. Perfectly leading into that in the book of Luke, chapter 21, where it talks about possess your souls, through patience possess your souls. Here it is, Luke 21 verse 19. In your patience possess ye your souls. And we all know, going back into that, and this has been brought out so many times, that patience means to suffer. That's why we brought it, and we know that through this suffering we will possess our souls. In other words, we will be able to save our souls through this suffering. And we can also go into that pieces that speak about how that we should not be that's showing you that these bodies aren't worth anything. All right, it is the soul that is important. That's why the scriptures talk about how we should not fear him that can kill this body and do nothing else, but fear the Most High that can kill the body and the soul in hell. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to save our souls, not save these bodies. Because in the kingdom we will not have these bodies. These bodies are going to be destroyed. These bodies are going to be destroyed along with this earth, right? That's a video right there. Anyway, these bodies are going to be destroyed along with this earth. Right, and we're going to possess the kingdom with new bodies. So I'm just going to end it there, and before I finish up, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Rahak, Wadash, Wa Abad, Babal, and to the Spirit. I hope we brothers and sisters were edified. Shalom.